Well, unless you've been living under a rock here recently, you know that CU recently signed the #1 prospect in the class of 2019 to a financial aid agreement, Antonio Alfano. I mean, this is as big as it gets for this CU program.
Well, I said to you before we started here, this is the first time we've done a lot of film rooms, and this is the first time we're making a comparison to guys like Nick Bosa or Robert Dikemdici is not ridiculous. You know, so you really almost can't overstate how good this guy is and really how big. I'm not 100% sure I can still wrap my mind around how big it is that this kid is coming here. I remember when somebody first posted it on the board, I thought, well, that's not going to happen. And yet here he is, and it's all testament to Mel Tucker's connections with the kid when he was recruiting him at Georgia.
Originally from New Jersey, signs with Alabama, goes out to Tuscaloosa, gets 2 sacks in their spring game, and you know his grandmother falls ill, and long story short, he's Boulder bound. What stands out about him?
Well, what doesn't stand out? I mean, you know, when I went looking for video on him, there's so much out there. I wasn't 100% sure where to start, and then I was watching his senior year video, and you know, every play was phenomenal. And so I kind of had at first I was like, well, everything's so good, none of it stands out, if you follow me. And what really blew my mind was the video from the Army All-American game where he's going against All-Americans and he's throwing them around and beating them up like they're little kids. So he's listed about 6'4", 290. He's got ridiculously long arms. I think he's got like a 34-inch wingspan or reach, 34-inch reach. So he's got length. He's super quick off the first step, runs fast. You know, they list him as a 4.8 40, and watching him on film, I believe it. So he plays, if you look at his senior year film, he does a lot of stand-up, defensive end, outside linebacker type stuff. So he's really a guy that could play anywhere in those front, if you call it, front 3, 4, 5 spots between the 2 outside linebackers and the 3 inside spots. You know, he could play nose for you in certain situations. He's not the prototype, but he's so quick and unblockable that I think he could do almost anything.
Talking to Jimmy Brumbaugh about Alfano, he says he is very versatile. We're going to get him in here. He's going to have a specific role. He's going to learn that role, and from there they can kind of branch out. Is there an ideal role for him once he, you know, kind of settles in here at CU?
Well, it's hard to say. I think you want to get him in here and see, you know, as good as he is, there's still going to be some things that he's better at than other things. I like that they're already planning on the fact that let's teach him a few things and get him really good at a few things and get a role for him, and let's not try to make him learn the whole defense in his first spring ball and what have you, and let's put him out there in situations where he doesn't have to think about it and he can just go full speed. His game at this level is going to be about his athleticism and his quickness and beating guys. He's not going to have the strength yet to bull rush a big offensive tackle or what have you. So let's use his speed and his quickness to our advantage. I think he's going to be amazing as a pass rusher. No matter, you know, what kind of packages you put him in there, you could make him one of your 2 inside guys on a 4-man line or what have you. But he's just one of those guys. I mean, you know, they were talking about him. He was going to play a lot as a true freshman for Alabama, which tells you how good he is. And you mentioned the 2 sacks in the spring game, and, you know, people might say, well, he's probably going against a second or third team. So what? They're at Alabama. All of those guys are All-Americans. So getting 2 sacks in their spring game tells you what he brings to the table as a pass rusher at this level.
Any specific plays really jump out? You said everything kind of stood out, but did you kind of pick out a few plays when you went through his film?
Yeah, I wrote down quite a few, actually. So there's right at the beginning of the 206 mark, he's a stand-up outside linebacker, takes on a big offensive tackle, beats him inside, does a little inside move, and makes a tackle 5 yards deep. There's a play at the 312 mark where he's unblocked, and you think, well, okay, big deal, he didn't get blocked. He's so fast, he almost got to the quarterback at the same time the ball did from the snap. I've never seen that from a guy before. And I had to watch it several times to make sure that he wasn't offsides. I thought at first he was offsides. There's a play at the 318 mark, believe it or not, where he's playing offensive line and he just destroys a linebacker. And I think it gives you an idea towards his mentality of how he plays the game. And then there's at the 332 mark, Super quick first step. He does a little swim, gets past the offensive tackle in the first 2 steps, and he almost sacks the quarterback, but he just kind of overruns him a little bit, and he falls down. He gets back up, and he runs the guy down like 5 yards down the field. I mean, what defensive lineman does that? It's crazy. And then there was at the 420, he's playing the nose, and he just beats up this center, just destroys him. The play goes the other way, and he takes an angle and runs it down for a short gain. And I was watching that play, I was going, how can a guy that big move that fast? So it's really exciting. There's so much video out there of this guy, and if you've got a minute, go find the Army All-America game highlights, because you're going to enjoy it.
CU's had some bad luck with some blue chip guys that have come here, but as long as Alfano has his head screwed on straight and has his priorities in line, it seems like he's as close to a can't miss as possible.
Well, I think also, I think we've got some good coaches. I mean, people, whatever criticisms you may have of Brumbaugh, he develops players, and I've seen that already this year, that guys have gotten better playing for him. So I think he will bring out the abilities that this kid has, and it strikes me from all the things that I looked at about Alfano is that he's really got the right attitude, and he works really hard. He doesn't have that prima donna attitude, and if you've got the work ethic to go with the talent, you're gonna make things work.
All right, Antonio Alfano expected to arrive here in Boulder in January. We'll see if he gets that waiver to play, in 2020, or if he'll be coming into the mix in 2021.
And even if he doesn't get the waiver, last spring we didn't have enough defensive linemen to really even run scrimmages. It's going to be different this year with a kid like him and these freshmen that are on the roster. Just having him here for spring ball is going to make the offensive line better.
All right, that's our breakdown of Antonio Alfano.